In the summer of 1776, a group of American patriots gathered in a room in Philadelphia to sign the Declaration of Independence. This is a big moment because these guys were about to overthrow the sitting government. It was treason. So when Ben Franklin picked up the quill pen to add his signature to the document, he turned to the others and he said, "Gentlemen, we must all hang together, or I assure you, we will all hang separately." It's a good joke, a little dark maybe, but it tells us a lot about the connection between humor and trust. Trust is a huge part of our lives. It's at the center of all our relationships: love, business, financial, you name it. And trust is the key to teamwork, but it's fragile. As the saying goes, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. I bet you know that's true, so I'd like to spend the next few minutes talking about how we can use humor to build trust. And my first point is this: trust entails vulnerability. If I take your word for something, I risk being disappointed. And vice versa, if you take my word for something and you don't insist on something firmer, like a cash deposit or a signed contract or a seatbelt, you make yourself vulnerable. That's risky. Here's the thing though, that risk itself shows us how humor can build trust in a way that nothing else can. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Well, not really. Okay, I'm a professor. My name is Dr. Mike Fontaine, and for 20 years I've been a professor here at Cornell University. And in that time I've also held some leadership roles in Cornell's central administration. My field is called classics. That's the fancy name for the study of ancient Greek and Latin. Those were the two main languages spoken in the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago. Now, once upon a time when I was your age, I went off to the city of Rome in Italy. It was 1,000,000 miles from my undergrad college in Jackson, Mississippi, but I found what I was looking for: the last man on planet Earth who could speak Latin like a native Roman. And he taught me how to speak and read Latin like a native too. Doesn't even matter that Latin's dead. Now that matters because the principles and the mechanisms of humor were first worked out in ancient Greece and Rome 2,000 years ago. That's when famous thinkers and speakers like Marcus Tullius Cicero got very interested in these strange things that we call jokes. Now, Greek is the language Cicero read, and Latin is the language he wrote in. So when I went to write a dissertation a long time ago about jokes, my training in Rome gave me the ability and the confidence that I needed to read those ancient joke books and make sense of them today. And what I discovered is that those ancient treatises and those ancient insights are absolutely timeless, and they're timely. For example, a good-natured joke is a fantastic way to reset the room after an awkward moment. Or a sheepish joke can get you out of trouble. And a hilarious joke can even help you win an argument that you shouldn't win. And there are many other strategies like that. I know because a few years ago I published a translation of some of these ancient treatises. I called it How to Tell a Joke. But the point is not to tell ha-ha jokes just for fun. The point is how to tell jokes that can win the room, that win friends, that influence people. And I know that what they say works because I now teach a course here at Cornell for business executives from all around the world, putting those ancient insights into practice. What those ancients figured out all those years ago is that the principles of humor are universal. Now, I don't mean that the jokes are all the same. Jokes vary across time and place and space and language and culture. But it turns out that no matter where we live, or even when we live, we all laugh at some of the same basic things. For example, the other day there was a woman driving out here on Route 13 coming into campus, and her cell phone rang. And so she answers it, and there's a panicked voice. And it says, "Martha!" And she says, "What?" "Martha, oh my God, be careful. They're showing it on TV, and it's all over Twitter. There's a car going the wrong way down Route 13. Be careful." And she says, "A car going the wrong way down Route 13? Hell, they're all going the wrong way." Okay, some of you are laughing. Why? Let me let you in on two secrets. First, telling a joke like that makes me vulnerable for telling it. And second, laughing at a joke like that makes you vulnerable for laughing at it. So telling that joke is obviously risky. Maybe I'll tell it and you won't get it. Or maybe I'll tell it and you get it, but you won't laugh. Or maybe I tell it and you get it and you don't laugh and you get really angry. And you say, hey, that guy's being insensitive to women. Or he's being insensitive to older people. Or he's being insensitive to people named Martha, like my cousin's girlfriend. And you call human resources and you report me. And trust me, those people don't think anything is funny. What about your laughter, though? Well, if I tell a tasteless joke, if I tell a racist joke, and you start laughing too hard, you're going to get in big trouble. You know that. Here's the thing, though. What that means, that shared risk means that humor throws us in together. It unites us. It means we better hang together so we don't hang separately. All right. And here's a third sort of, let's call it a secret. That shared risk and that unity emerge from the nature of jokes themselves. It emerges automatically. Cicero, that ancient thinker, has an amazing insight. He published it in his master textbook of public speaking. It's called On the Orator. He published it in the year 55 BCE. And in it, Cicero says that most jokes, or at least the funniest jokes, call out and stigmatize some disgrace in a graceful way. That, by the way, is my translation of Cicero's Latin, and I am happy to give him full credit for his idea, but he's dead, so we're not splitting the royalties. Anyway, Cicero's making an important, a really profound point here. Most jokes target something embarrassing, something bad. That's the disgrace part. What makes the joke funny is that instead of politely ignoring the embarrassing thing, you deliberately call attention to it, but you do it in a witty or a graceful way. The key point, though, really is that most jokes target some imperfection, some inadequacy, some vulnerability, and that is an important insight because it reminds us that life isn't perfect. The world isn't perfect. Nothing is ever as good as it seems, and everything breaks eventually. Now, we can all pretend that's not true, or you can get really angry and rant and rave and whine and cry and shake a fist at the sky in anger. But that just stresses everybody out. The productive alternative is to acknowledge that imperfection and to laugh at it, to make light of it. Because when you do that, you remind everybody around you that we are all just imperfect beings living here in our imperfect world, doing the best we can together. So while anger spreads misery and stress, jokes spread understanding and empathy and compassion and joy. Now, as the ancient theorists mostly figured out, there are 5 reasons for that. And because I'm a classics guy, I'm going to call them the 5 pillars of laughter. Here they are. Pillar number 1, laughter breaks tension. That's what Benjamin Franklin was trying to do in that room in Philadelphia all those years ago, break tension, when he and his fellow patriots were pledging allegiance to treason. Pillar number 2, laughter is primal. Laughter is pre-human. Monkeys laugh. Look at this. That tells us that whatever laughter is, it evolved in us in a stage too far back for us to ever really know why it's here now. But the point is, laughter is a system that we can hack and we can take advantage of even if we don't understand it. Pillar number 3, laughter is involuntary, and that is what makes it dangerous. Laughter is a response. It's a response to physical or psychological cues, like jokes or tickling, or even laughing gas at the dentist. The point here, though, is that laughter is a guaranteed response we can get from other people if we do it right. And that means, by the way, that jokes are the closest thing that we have to magic spells here in the real world. Pillar number 4, laughter is contagious. It's just like COVID, but way more fun. It means if I can get some of you laughing, the odds are I can get a lot of you, maybe even all of you laughing. And pillar number 5, Laughter wins sympathy and admiration. If you tell a really witty joke, you are going to look like a genius. And even better, you're going to look trustworthy because you're signaling that you trust me to laugh, and I like that even if I'm not aware of it. So now that you know this, how are you going to build trust with humor? Well, I told you that in some earlier years, I had leadership roles here in Cornell's Central Administration. My job is to get other people to do all kinds of different things. And the one thing I never had to give any of them was money. So I used humor instead. And it worked like a charm. I didn't use it all the time like a stand-up comedian or a clown at the circus, but every now and then. And when I told a joke, it would break tension. And I won friends, and I even won over some determined opponents. And humor can do that for you too. So, your first step, and your homework assignment from this talk, is to go get a go-to joke. For example, why can't two apples get married? Well, because then they would be a pair. Okay, that's really corny, but if I am deep in the debate with somebody at work and I start to stretch the truth, maybe exaggerate a little bit to make my point, and I get caught and called out on it, I will give sort of a sheepish grin. And I'll say, who, me? No, I have said it 1,000,000 times. I never exaggerate. And when that sinks in, we both start laughing and we can start over again. So, don't make your joke up. Go online, go on Reddit, look in books. There are tons of jokes out there. Find one you like, tweak the details, practice it, and then be ready to whip it out anytime you need, like a copy of your resume or an elevator pitch. For example, do you guys know what the best thing about Switzerland is? Like, of all the great things there are about Switzerland, do you know what the absolute best is? Me either. But the flag is a big plus. Your go-to joke does not need to be hilarious. You don't want to be Dave Chappelle. You might not want a pun, but you definitely don't want an offensive or a tasteless joke. All you need is a tiny pinprick, like a corny joke, a dad joke, to break the tension. So go find a good one and make it yours. Okay, and as I wrap up here, I want to get serious for a second. Look, life is full of tension. Humor is a time-tested, proven, universal way to break it. Humor helps us share and soothe the disappointments and the disagreements in life. And it helps us connect with each other, connect across gender, connect across age, connect across background, even across language. Humor is not some gimmick, and it's not some hack that you download off the internet. Humor is a superpower. This stuff works, so get out there and use it. Trust me, and thank you.